Hey y'all, it's Vicky, and welcome to another video that sun's in my eyes. And I decided I would film the video in the afternoon, and of course the mornings the sun's in your eyes, and then in the afternoon it's in my eyes. So I am on my way home, and I've got some notes today. I'm not going to talk a lot about Tim. I'm going to tell you some of the things I watched over the weekend that I think some of you might like. And if you don't, you don't. But I think that a lot of us enjoy watching the same things. And, you know, for whatever reason, some of these people may not show up in your feed, or you may already know of them. And of course, if you know somebody that I should watch, feel free to put it in the comments. I know Linda put one in the comments today. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and talk about some channels to watch. And some of these I have brought up before. But of course, my friend Alec and Cindy, Alec and Cindy have their channel Sharing the Journey, where they talk about work camping. You know, working at a campground for their stay, that it pays for their spot. And then,
well, travel is slowed down a lot since the lockdowns, and the opportunity for those type jobs is not as prevalent as it was. Now,
you know, depending on the campground, you may get paid some income too. But anyway, Alec is always sharing some interesting things that I find, you know, that I had no idea about. So if you have any interest or know anybody that wants to consider work camping, I suggest giving them a view. All right, Adventure is Out There. Adventure is Out There is a family that vlogs, you know, several different places, but their main emphasis is Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg area. And they did some terrific reviews in the past few weeks on some new restaurants. And one of them was Gorilla Taco.
Last time we were here at Gorilla Taco, we got to try all the beef tacos, but this time we're here to try the other things like shrimp and chicken and veggie.
Which made me want to go over there just to eat at Gorilla Taco. I think it may be a chain, but I've never heard tell of it. But everything they had looked great. Of course, you don't have to eat it with a taco shell. You can, you know, if you're carnivore, you can just eat the meat. You don't have to have the shell. And then they went to a dessert place. I think they went to 2 different dessert places. One had all different kinds of cheesecake. They had a Dolly Parton cheesecake that was like I think it was a pink champagne or somewhere along those lines, that looked really pretty good. If you're keto, you know, you can eat cheesecake, not every day of course, but you know, every now and then. So that would be some place. The name of that place is let's see, Central Coffee and Crumble. I think that's the name. And then there was another one, or not Crumble, Crumb. It's not the cookie place. The cookie place. And then, like I said, Gorilla Taco. They also spent the night one night at the new Town Place Suites, and also the new Margaritaville Compass Hotel. And that one, it seemed to be not quite as expensive as the main Margaritaville Hotel. And, you know, to some people, it may not be expensive, but to me, when it goes up to $300 a night, that's getting on up there for what I like to pay. And I know we're living in inflation, but I still say that's just a little steep for me, but I understand you get what you pay for and all those wonderful things. Supposedly, some of these people are not watching where they're going. They're just backing out. And I'm going down here to park and talk. There is a cute little car there. All right, now okay, Dinger and New York Dan met up in Jacksonville, and they went over and they New York Dan did kind of an interview talk, and I still think there's some more videos to go up on
YouTube. We are at Denny's today, and I'm in Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah, I've not seen them all, so you know, of course, support Dinger and New York Dan. They are, I think, a part of the community. I think Dan first started out, I think Dan is along the lines of me, and I think Dinger is along the lines of me. We don't mean him any harm. We just calling him out. I mean, that's all it amounts to. We're just calling him out. Okay, Southern Life, and I've mentioned him before. He's in Florida, and he goes around to different small towns, talks about them. He also interviews a lot of homeless people. I had to stop watching those because they were just too depressing to me. But anyway, he went to Fort Myers, and the rent has dropped in Fort Myers to where I looked, and Tim could get him an apartment there for $1,300. It looks nice. Looks like a nice neighborhood. But it may not be. It looked like a nice neighborhood to me. And then Southern Life also talked about the Hispanic population has moved out of Fort Myers because when the storm came through, Hurricane Ian, you know, the tourists didn't come back, or they haven't come back yet, and you know, they had to close and move elsewhere. So I think that Fort Myers they need some tourists, and maybe that will start happening here soon, because it's been like almost 3 years since the storm. So hopefully they're starting to get back on their feet, and people will start going back there again, because I know it is a nice area, and the beach is really pretty too. Okay, Darling and Atomic Sage put out new videos this weekend on Tim. Both of them are fantastic. Make sure you go over and give them a view if you haven't. And Rusty 78609. Rusty's always up to something. His new Ford Maverick had a dead battery. I think he got up Saturday or Friday sometime or another, and it wouldn't start. So he had to call them to pick it up, or to bring him up. Anyway, they picked him up and brought him a loaner. He now has a Ford Ranger loaner, and I don't know when he'll get his Maverick back. I'd already be just a little upset about all that. So I think I would either wait if I was looking at a Maverick, or if I was going to get a Maverick, I tell them I want a new battery, but I don't want a Ford battery. All right. The South Pacific has a tropical cyclone called Ray. She's a Cat 2 at this time, but she may already be Cat 3, because I think she was supposed to pick up steam today. There's been a warning put out on the Fiji Islands and some other islands there, and there is a chance that, from what I read, she could miss everything. But, you know, it is their storm season there in the South Pacific. So, and sometimes, you know, people say that kind of shows what's going to happen with us. So, but I don't know. I don't know if any of that's true. You know, they say the flu season over in Australia kind of shows what we're going to have. I don't know. You know, the following winter. All right. Reed Timmer, you know, one of my favorite storm chasers. He is Dr. Reed Timmer. He has a PhD in meteorology. I think he's probably one of the best chasers, and probably one of the more accurate forecasters. It's just he don't forecast until right before it's going to happen. He doesn't believe in these models that are long. Now, he will do videos on those, but he will also tell you right away, you know, it may not happen. It may completely change. Anyway, he did his annual prediction of tornadoes for the year, and you can go over on his channel and see that map. But just to go over some, he predicted North Carolina to get 40, course, Texas always has the most. He predicted 130 for Texas, and I think that's actually low. 55 for Florida, which I think that's low. 60 for Oklahoma and Mississippi, 80. And I think that Louisiana was maybe 82. I can't remember what Arkansas was. But anyway, if you want to see that map, you can. It's on all his social media. Okay, Max Velocity. Y'all know I love Max Velocity. Been following him since he was Northwest Texas or Northeast Texas weather. I can't remember which one was it. That was 2 years ago. And then when he was only covering Texas weather, and I would be looking for weather for people to watch live, you know, at 10 o'clock at night, and he would be the only one on live. And at that point, I think he had like 2,000 subscribers. Well, he went over 1 million this weekend. And I don't think it could have happened to any nicer guy. So, if you want to watch and learn about the weather, now, you know, he does use clickbait titles, but I believe that some of this stuff you sometimes have to use clickbait titles. But he also, if you listen to his forecast, he will tell you, I mean, if it's a week or two out, he will tell you that anything can happen and anything can change. The key is watch the weather report. Don't just read the headlines. But you have to make people want to click on your video. Okay, Minnie Van Lee. Okay, I told you about her on Saturday. She put out a video responding to a comment about someone told her she needed to get her a man. And my thing is, I don't think any woman needs a man. I don't think any man needs a woman. I think it's more a matter of wants. So, anyway, it was interesting to hear her take on it. Okay, Australian Van Man, he's been doing a live now. This was his second live. Of course, Amanda was with him. And they talked about where they might travel later on. And they also talked about some of the places they had been. All right, now we'll get on to Tim. There's not much to report on Tim. He did nothing all weekend that I felt was worthy of anything for me to talk about. Of course, in his fireside chat, he talked about traveling out west. He talked about AI. And I think he was talking about Elon Musk's Grok, his AI Grok. And I don't know why he didn't know that it was Elon's. But I'm pretty sure that's the one he was talking about, because his does involve more scientific information than some of the others, I do believe. And he talked about Area 51 and the drones. And y'all know how I feel about the drones. I do believe it was our drones, and we were doing either some kind of secret operative, or they were out there doing some kind of test mission or something. I don't know, but I do believe the drones were ours. As far as Area 51, I find it interesting. Do I believe there's aliens? I believe anything's possible. I'll just put it out there. And of course, he's all the time mentioning Trump, and I don't know exactly what all he talked about, but I know he brought him up one time. I try to turn away or just turn my ears off. I just don't want to hear the politics. I don't want to hear the politics from either side. I know sometimes I might get off on it, but I try to ring it back in if I do. But I don't want to hear it from him, because he don't know what he's talking about. And in my opinion, he makes, for people that don't like Trump supporters, he's the way he acts is the reason why. I do not believe, and I know a lot of Trump supporters, that anyone else that I know is like him. All right. Now, at the end of the video, I want to thank everyone for all your support, and admit that it kind of hurts. I can put Sarasota Tim in the title, and I'll get 1,000 views. You know, I don't, and it's like, I don't know if the algorithm actually buries it, or nobody just, I don't mean to say nobody, I just mean to say not as many people click on it. And I don't watch every one of Sarasota Tim's videos. I'm not going to watch them all. I've said that. I try to pick one. And that one is, you know, I watched that fireside chat. Now, I am going to talk briefly, and then I'm going to hush, about his story on that woman with the Honda. I, too, had a vehicle that was infested with mice in the wiring. It was 2008, I believe. It was my Camry. And it didn't cost that much to fix it. It was like $300, something like that. You know, I think that I hadn't driven it in like 5 days or something. I can't remember how long I had and hadn't started it. I'd been driving, you know, the truck. And anyway, I now have we live in a field, in the woods. There's woods and then there's a field. And we do have a lot of field mice. And for whatever reason, but I did learn during that time that most of the cars made in Japan, Korea, over in Asian countries, do have the plant-based wiring, meaning soybeans or some other kind of plants. So it's not just Honda. Toyota does it. I'm sure Subaru does it. I'm sure Nissan does it. So, you know, you can't look at just one brand. And I know he didn't. It was the lady he was talking to. But she needs to do her research. That's all I can say. But just know that can happen to anybody. I don't care how, you know, if you live near an area that has mice or whatever, it can happen to anybody. It doesn't even take but just one night and it could happen. So it's just like they always say, check your car for cats and stuff like that. And, you know, I'm always worried that there's going to be a cat, you know, in my car. I mean, I have to admit that. But I do try to make a lot of noise when I come up to it, and I feel like that they would run if there was. But anyway, I'm going to shut up now. I do appreciate every one of you watching. I'm sorry I went off a little tangent there for a minute, but y'all know I try to tell you how I feel. I'm not trying to beg for views or anything like that. It just hurts a little bit. That's all I can say. It just hurts a little bit because, as I said before, I want to be more than just somebody who talks about Sarasota Tim. Anyway, I'm going to go now. Got to go home. So I hope y'all have a good evening, and I'll talk to you later. Love you. Bye.